Sam Macho, big bro, and a native of Ohio. How about that? Slick Ric Bucher to talk through this one. But first, fellas, let me talk through something. People think that Baker is a limiting reactant for the Browns. I don't believe that to be the case. We don't have to leave the division. We don't have to leave the last decade to see that there was a man by the name of Joe Flacco who helped the Ravens win a Super Bowl. I say helped because he didn't get carried to that Super Bowl. Joe Flacco had 22 touchdowns, 10 interceptions that year. 22 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 59% completion percentage. The year the Ravens won the Super Bowl. Baker Mayfield had 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions last year. Including the playoffs, he had more than 30 touchdowns and fewer than 10 interceptions. One of only 5 quarterbacks in the National Football League to do so. Aaron Rodgers, Ryan Tannehill, Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield. That is the list of the great quarterbacks last season that Baker Mayfield found himself in the company of. And you know what they say. You are the average of your 5 closest friends. So with Baker Mayfield, if you're hanging out with that kind of category, that's the talent he has. Baker Mayfield can carry the Browns to a Super Bowl. And if the Browns keep building up rosters in this offseason like they did at future offseasons like they did in this offseason, I won't be surprised if he does. Shout out to Andrew Berry, the GM. Shout out to Kevin Stefanski. We've seen it happen before. We've seen it happen in that division. Make no mistake about how great Baker Mayfield has been for the Cleveland Browns, and make no mistake about how far Baker Mayfield can carry the Cleveland Browns. Because if he has a roster to do so, Baker can absolutely carry the Browns to a Super Bowl. But Sam, you tell me, you played 9 years in the league. How far can the Browns go with Baker Mayfield as their quarterback?
Oh, they can go to the Super Bowl and maybe even win it. I'm concerned about Tampa Bay if they go there and play Tampa Bay. But they can go to the Super Bowl, but here's why. I look at, obviously, Kevin Stefanski. He's great. Andrew Berry is a genius. They had a number 21st ranked defense last year. We all talk about how great the Cleveland defense is, but they got Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah in the second round. They got Greg Newsome in the first round to bolster up their defense. They got Troy Hill. They got some dudes from L.A., so they're bolstering their defense already. But let's not even talk about the defense. Talk about their running game. So you don't even have to be so great when you got Kareem Hunt at running back. When you don't have to be so great when you have an offense that's built around your strengths. And so if I'm thinking about how great that Baker Mayfield can be, I'm not overly concerned with his arm talent per se. I'm overly concerned with him taking the team to where we need to go, which is a Super Bowl.
You know you're doing a show with 2 Nigerians when you go out of your way to pronounce a Nigerian's whole name. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Just doing entirely too much. But I respect it. Shout out to you, Jeremiah. All right, Slick Ric Bucher, you tell me. I know you're a native of Ohio. You're well, I can't say you're a diehard Bengals fan, but maybe you'll just die hard the way the Bengals are playing. Anyway, we're not going to go there. But Slick Ric, how far can the Browns go with Baker Mayfield as their quarterback?
I don't know if you can tell, but I didn't shave today because I knew I was going to be doing battle with 2 Achos, not just one, and I knew that it could get rough and dirty. So I'm here for it. The answer is, and so I'm glad you guys went immediately to, is it Super Bowl or not a Super Bowl? And the answer is no. Baker Mayfield cannot take them to a Super Bowl this year, which means that he cannot take them to a Super Bowl ever. Here's the reality. And it's really not about Baker Mayfield, because I think, as Sam alluded to, it's really about what the Browns are building around Baker Mayfield right now. There's one definitive element when it comes to every Super Bowl winning team since 2013. They have one thing in common. It's that they had a top 10 scoring defense. You can go to Joe Flacco, you can go to Tom Brady, you can go to Peyton Manning, you can take any quarterback you want. They've all varied, and they varied in terms of their contribution to their team getting to the Super Bowl and winning it. But the one constant has been the scoring defense. Now, the Browns have done a nice job in the offseason, adding Jadeveon Clowney, signing John Johnson, drafting Greg Newsome. They've improved. Have they improved from 21st in scoring defense into the top 10? I need to see that before I believe it. So this is really about everything that is around Baker Mayfield that is going to get them there. But if you're asking me if Baker Mayfield, you use the word carry, Acho. Acho.
I was about to say, now, which Acho?
Baker Mayfield is going to carry the Cleveland Browns to the Super Bowl. You can't really believe that.
Slick Rick. I'm gonna hop in for Iacho for a second because you are a gentleman and you are a scholar.
Yes.
But you're preaching to the choir. So Andrew Berry, you don't think he knows that he needs a top 10 defense? You don't think that's why he went and got Jadeveon Clowney? You don't think that's why he went and got Troy Hill? You don't think that's why he went and got Greg Newsome? You don't think that's why he went and got Jeremiah? So he knows what you know. And what we all know is that you need a top defense to win. And so he said, okay, I've got my quarterback. I've got some good offensive weapons in the running game. Now let me go get a defense and help my offense go to the Super Bowl. Let's not forget, last year in the playoffs, Cleveland lost by 5 to Kansas City, 5 points. And yes, Pat Mahomes was injured. We understand that. It was some gutsy play calling on the offensive side. Let's not forget, Andy Reid had a great offensive play call. But it was a 5-point loss. And so, yes, you're preaching, and you're making some really great points, but you're preaching to Andrew Berry, who's the choir, who knows everything that you know, and he's gone exceedingly and abundantly out of his way to build a top defense for his dominant offense.
Here's the bigger thing, though, fellas, as I look at it, is this. You don't have to necessarily carry a team for the duration of a season. But can you carry them for a little while, Slick Rick? I don't have no kids, but I do have some nephews and nieces, courtesy of my brother. And here's the kicker. I don't carry them all day because they get heavy. But what I can do is this. I can carry them for a little while until I give them back, Slick, until I give them back to the rightful owner of whose responsibility it is to carry the team. I got a guy who's mentioned that you're either a tractor or a trailer at quarterback positions. You're either being carried by the team or you're carrying a team. But I thought about it long and hard this morning and realized you don't just have to be a tractor or a trailer. You can also ride shotgun. Because, Slick Rick, I know you've gone on road trips before, big dog, across the country. When you ride shotgun, you're not necessarily driving, but every now and then the driver says, hey, I'm tired. Can you spell me for a little bit? Joe Flacco, he wasn't driving until the playoffs when the Ravens said, hey, can you lead us for a little bit? 11 touchdowns, no interceptions. Nick Foles, 2017, he definitely wasn't driving the Eagles, but the Eagles said, hey, can you lead us for a little bit? 6 touchdowns, 1 interception on the playoff run en route to a Super Bowl. Baker Mayfield doesn't have to carry him for the duration of the season. He just has to be competent and capable of carrying them long enough to get to a Super Bowl, which I think he can do. But I got to bring in my guy, Bucky Brooks, because you know he going to go to blows when it comes to Baker Mayfield and your boy. So, Bucky, talk to me. You know I just debunked your tractor trailer theory. How far can the Browns go with Baker Mayfield?
Look, I don't know if you're an English major at Texas, but your wordplay is outstanding. Maybe you should be a rapper in your spare time because you certainly worked around that to make it seem like Baker Mayfield could carry it. But let's be honest in this. I think your brother's right on it. The Browns can go to the Super Bowl with Baker Mayfield at quarterback. It doesn't